Armagh, because they're top of Division Two, like we said. I think this is it the sixth year of Kieran McGeeney's reign. How are they going? Like, would you have seen them a few times this year?
In fairness to Armagh too, and this is another thing, like, you can't pity Fermanagh the whole time either, because Armagh, um, Armagh have plans now to do their own centre of excellence. The plans are gorgeous looking. Thankfully, it's one of these centre of excellence that praises function over form. By what I mean by that is, Girvahi is in the shape of a Celtic T, and I don't
I
know
was
how
up with
that.
that. It's absolutely insane because you have these, like, it's that old Celtic T with the
Yeah, yeah.
darting corners. So you have rooms with like corners that are jutting like that, and it's just so pointless.
Well, they didn't build a gym. They didn't have a gym in it. They had a small room with some treadmills and whatnot, but they had built a centre of excellence. They built a child's play park, which is not far from me here, and I used to bring the young fellow up that he loved it because it's big slide and all. But then they had after spending the money on the child's play park, they've levelled it and they're now building a purpose-built gym, which is to the side of the team. So, but anyway, I'm getting off the point. The point being, Armagh went round the houses and have trained all over the place. And Callan Bridge used to be I don't know if it was now, but there was only containers and it was fairly Spartan for them, and they haven't made it work. So in fairness to Kieran McGeeney, you never heard him talk about facilities or anything like that. They just kind of got on with it. And it's a funny one because McGeeney, he got some really, really bad Hawkians at the start in the Ulster Championship the first few years. One in particular against Donegal in 2015, like they just got wiped off the field completely. And his thing was always, we're building for the future and we're building a team that'll play a certain way. Like, they are not and they haven't been a defensive team. But they played Fermanagh and Crossmaglen last year in a game that they must win, in round six, because tables were turned. Like, Fermanagh had it in their own gift to go up, and Armagh were trying to avoid relegation. They beat Fermanagh that day by doing everyone back, 15 men behind the ball, but they just did it so much better in Fermanagh. So, there's a little bit of versatility. Haven't seen them do it too much, but they're certainly, when they're on song like that and they're all out attack, like they are really good. Like, they've some lovely players. And from the moment that the ball was put in from the third minute and Jamie Clark got his goal, there was an inevitability that this was going to be a stuffing.
Just to even run through their forward line and some of the options they have. First of all, I think they all look like top level athletic players. That
Yeah, they're up. Like, I mean, that's the other thing about continuity. People come in and they do a job for 2 years, 3 years, and then they're gone. And probably McGeeney being there is Julie Davis, whose brother now is with the Throne team. Like, and their other sister is with Ulster Rugby. Like, so this S&C expertise runs in the family clearly, but they have been building and building and building. And Fermanagh put in different players. Obviously, they were stretched already, but some of the younger players that were playing and some of the subs that came on, you could just see. You only have to look, like, the difference in S&C, the shape of players, the physique and all was just marked. It was a marked difference. But you had, let me just go through it: Rory Grugan, Stephen Campbell, and Mark Shields, who's a brilliant player. Mark Shields brilliant running up and down the field, but they brought in Aidan Nugent, who scored a goal and two, and he was a big player for them at wing forward last year in the championship. So he was obviously in the forward line too. Ryan Kennedy was a late inclusion. Ryan O'Neill, Jamie Clark, Connor Turbot, young fella, had a brilliant opening day in the league. Did he get a hat trick of goals? I think he might have. But then also, like, they were able to bring in Ethan Rafferty off the bench, James Morgan off the bench, Aaron McKay, Greg McCabe. Like, these are now seasoned players. I remember Jim McCarry saying after that game across last year that we need another year in Division 2. At the time, I kind of wrote it off and said, well, it's one of those ones, well, you would say that, wouldn't you? But I can totally see what he's saying now, because they have developed in that league. And And should they get up to Division 1, if they beat Roscommon, they're pretty much certain that they're in a much better position to try and survive up there. Because we all know how difficult that is for newly promoted teams.
Because like you've gone through it there. There is a lot of class in that forward line. Is there any reason that they can't push themselves up into? I mean, obviously we've seen Meath get promoted and get pasted by everyone. Kildare obviously lost all 7 of their games there when they were up in Division 1. Is there any reason that they can't go up and survive? Because just looking at raw quality, and they have a manager who's been there for many years. I mean, there's question marks over whether he's a top level manager or a middle range type of manager, but and that's partly straight, down to the record. The amount of wins over the years.
Well,
titles.
I mean, the manager can only really be judged on championship.
And McGeeney went 5 years without winning an Ulster Championship game. That's just fact.
And they beat down in extra time in Newry last year. That was it. That was the record. They beat down after extra time, and did they get a fortunate goal where the 45 kind of sailed through someone's hands, or was that the other way around? It might have been the other way around.
But another thing I'd say is, like, I thought in 2014 when Paul Grimley was over the team and Kieran McGeeney was selector, and they got to Croke Park, and they had an unbelievable match against Donegal, which they just about lost. Was like a point or something like that. I thought this Armagh team playing really exciting stuff. They can't be too far away, and here we are in 2020 now, still waiting for them to hit the next level. Yeah,
they went back a bit, and changing factors. Grimley stepping down, Kieran coming in, perhaps imposing a new style of play. All those reasons, like, I mean, you can't. It can't always be jam tomorrow. Like, that. So this next number of weeks and then this summer really will tell us where they're kind of at. But I think it was a 2-year agreement that McGeeney came to with the Armagh County Board in terms of staying on, and he was lucky to get it. Like, there can be no doubt about that. People will look at 5 years, no championship wins, and say, well, what an under, like, one championship win, like, and they will wonder what the point of it all is, of this pursuit. So he was lucky enough to get it, but you have to wonder, like, if things don't go well for them in the championship, and then they haven't, like, say, I'm just talking in terms of, say they beat Roscommon on Saturday, they get up to Division 1, and the positivity would just be bubbling in that camp. Then they played Derry in the Ulster Championship, and I just don't know about that game, because Rory Gallagher's over Derry, and expectations outside the county are just so low, but they have an opportunity to go away and hide in the long grass, like, and produce something on that day, that particular day, that could surprise many. I wouldn't rule Derry out of winning that game whatsoever. And if that happens, and then say Armagh then face into a league campaign at Division 1, it could go one or two ways. Like, they could end up like Kildare, losing all their games, and then you're wondering, well, where exactly was McGeeney's legacy at the end of all this?
It's a fair point.
So,
well, what I was going to say,
you're always on a knife edge as a manager, and we're talking worst case scenarios here and all that. But Armagh are an interesting case study. Like, they've got all the talent. They've got an enormous coaching staff. Like, Paddy McKeever, John Toll, Dennis Hollywood, they're all there, along with Jim McCurry and Kieran McGeeney and their S&C coach. So there's a big effort being put into this group of players.
Just even to look at the fact that Jim McCurry does so many of the post-match interviews, is that always the case? Because I would have probably covered a lot of Kildare games when Geezer was over the team then, and he seemed to regularly talk. But now, like, even watching the Sunday game on Sunday night, it was McCurry put in front of the media. Is there any particular reason for that?
I don't know. Other than he just, in my experience over the last number of years, he just doesn't do them unless they lose. Like they lost against Cavan in the semi-final replay last year, and he decided he would be the one that faced the media, and I think he did it. After they lost to Mayo, was it, in the qualifiers, round 4? But he tends to send Jim out to do that, and Jim McCurry is very good at it. He's very good talker, very interesting fella in his own right, and a basketball obsessive. Got great success out of Kilcoo. Has been coaching for a long, long time. My God, you think about, like, back in the early 90s, him and John Morrison were the Armagh managers. He was a very young man then. But he must love it, like, because he's a Lurgan man, like, and he's been living most of his life now in Rostrevor and County Down. But it must be a real thrill for him to be involved in Armagh at this stage of his life, like, and he would have so much to offer.
Thanks for watching Our Game. Don't forget to like and share the videos, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe.